Hello.
Could you tell me a bit about yourself? Like, what are your hobbies? What do you like to do in your spare time? What work do you do?
Some of my hobbies. I'm currently training for the London Marathon, so I have to say running. But I couldn't say I enjoy running that much. But yeah, it's definitely a big part of my life at the moment. A few years ago, I did Tough Mudder. It was quite literally tough and muddy. So yeah, that's probably the hardest bit of running I've done. I've done a few 10Ks. I'm quite an avid baker. Off of Bake Off hype. Yeah, I really enjoy baking and stuff, so I do that as a bit of a sideline. Making some cupcakes for someone's wedding in a few weeks, so yeah, really enjoy a bit of a bake. My experience of meningitis is I had meningitis when I was 12. I had a perforated eardrum and basically was on antibiotics for that, and then developed pneumococcal meningitis, I think through the perforated eardrum. I was in hospital for 2 weeks and intensive care for a week, but I made a full recovery, and yeah, here today. I haven't, I've been very lucky, no kind of hearing loss or limb loss, but some of the longer term effects I really struggle with, kind of remembering things, dividing my attention, not particularly good at multitasking. Yeah, it was that kind of stuff, always having to make notes of things, and it'll always be, have you got everything? Yeah. Oh, no, I actually forgot this and I forgot that. So, yeah, but I wouldn't count it. I always say I'm fully recovered. I wouldn't count it as a after effect. I think with exams and stuff, I was very cautious to make sure I constantly made notes of everything. Otherwise, I wouldn't remember and things like that. I think probably just someone to talk to, because I think I was 12 when I had it, so it's not obviously usual for someone to have to go through that at 12, and I think it's that really difficult period of time as well. You're not quite like a teenager and you're not really a child anymore, so it's kind of just, and this thing has happened to you and nobody else really knows anything about it. And yeah, I think definitely talking to other people who've either experienced it or someone who knows more about it and can tell you, no, this is fine, you've been through something, crazy, you're going to feel different from everybody else. I think that would have been, really, really helpful. I think specifically with that age group as well. Knowing that you could go to them with anything, whether it was related to meningitis or not, I think that kind of companion would be really helpful, whether it was like a affiliated person at the charity or just another person the same age as you. I think that kind of similarity would be really good. Yeah. I would say probably for me, positives that I've had from having meningitis is I think I'm more aware of how other people are feeling. At least I like to think so. Just that I'm always aware that people have a whole background of stuff that they've experienced that by looking at them you don't know. You don't know what people are going through. So I like to try, that whole be kind, you don't know what people are going through. I definitely try to live by that kind of, want for a better word, mantra. But yeah, just that kind of empathy with other people, that kind of thing. Yeah, and just the extra knowledge, as horrible it is to go through it, now I'm aware of it. I'm constantly telling people about it, handing out symptoms cards to people and trying to get the word out. And yeah, I think I'm thankful for that extra knowledge. Not necessarily how I got that extra knowledge, but for having it. So.
Do you think having had meningitis, did it have any positive and or negative impact on your friends and family?
I think, yeah, for friends it was, the impact for them was the education, learning about the disease. They had no idea what it was. Like, we were all 12 at the time, so for them it's just, they didn't even know what the word meant, let alone how bad it was. And they said ever since then, they've all been off to uni and things, and so I'm constantly giving them things to take to uni, and I think for them it's just that wider understanding of it. And yeah, so I think friends' perspective, they've really benefited from knowing more about the disease and knowing what it is. And just like, because obviously going off to uni, that's a popular age group, I think for them it's like looking after other peers who probably don't have the same level of knowledge as they do. And I think for family, yeah, it was just the worry, what was going to happen, what life was going to look like afterwards, how different was I going to be, and then long term, what are the implications of that kind of thing. And yeah, but overwhelmingly extremely lucky. So
is your brother older or younger?
My brother's older, yeah.
And did it kind of, how old was he when you had meningitis?
He would have been 16.
Do you know if it affected him?
The family obviously had to get in touch with the school and say, daughter's got meningitis, which my dad did make a good point of saying. He said there was a bit of a stigma attached to it, because he was like, not very much, but for a few months you're the parents whose child has got meningitis, and now everybody at school's got to be on watch for it. He said that was quite difficult. So for Ben, I think it was kind of a mixture. I think because he was still only 16, we didn't know much about it at the time. Thinking about it now more in depth, it's kind of, I was the one that was ill, and he kind of had to sit there for a few months, and everything was Sophie, 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 what's happening with Sophie? And I can imagine that was quite isolating for him, which I've never really thought about before, but now I have. So yeah, I can imagine for him that it was a double-pronged. It was kind of like, oh, cool, my sister's got this disease. Oh my God, I can tell everybody that's my sister. But I think as he's got older, he actually realised for his A-levels he had to do like this biology thing. He had to do a report on a disease, and he did meningitis. And I think then he kind of realised what we were playing with, and yeah, and I think then ever since then he's kind of realises how lucky we were, and we definitely missed a bullet there. And I think he has a much more appreciation for it.
How did you hear about meningitis? What is Meningitis Now?
Through deciding to fundraise. So it was only a couple of years after I'd had the disease, and we decided to do a sports day event. And they had this big duck costume at the time called Monty, which we did get out. And my brother wore it for half the day, and then I wore it for half the day. So the pictures suddenly go from a Monty with long legs to a Monty with short legs, which is quite funny. It was 2008, I think, so we were Trust at the time. And I just got in touch with one of the fundraisers, and so they helped me out loads with that kind of stuff, and it just got me tied in. And ever since then, I've kind of been attached to them, and I had no idea they provided support and stuff. And so finding that out, I was like, this is great.
Did you get any support? So you obviously gave a lot through fundraising. Did you get any support back for you, or did your family get any support?
We didn't, but I'd say we kind of got support through fundraising, if you know what I mean. I think it was kind of, as cheesy as it sounds, a healing process for us, because we were so lucky and nothing's happened to me, and so we were able to do that fundraising. And I think for us it was kind of cathartic to give back to people who don't have that opportunity, and I think that's really important. And so for us, I think that was our support, to meet a charity actually realising what we'd been through was bad, it was okay that we felt bad about it, and let's fundraise for it. And I think just getting in touch with a charity that knew what you had been through was enough. So yeah, we didn't get specifically supported, but we kind of did, if that makes sense.
Has chatting to others of a similar age, you've been through similar things, made any difference?
I think it's made a huge difference. I think as well, when I first became a young ambassador, I think it was like 17, 18, and you do feel a bit weird, like you do feel a bit oddball, and it's kind of, still nobody really gets it. They kind of know that you had it and it was bad, but to meet other people who've been through the same, if not a lot worse, it was really, like, it's very humbling, extremely humbling, but amazing. Like, and you realise that actually you're not weird for, like, feeling down sometimes and feeling a bit rubbish. That everybody else is as well, and they've been through the same thing. It's just nice to meet a group of, like, people who are just, they're a ridiculous bunch. They're just so nice and just lovely, and I've really appreciated that kind of contact, and to make friends with people who have experienced something that nobody else understands, realising that it's normal to go through stuff, to have experiences, and it's not always good experiences, but it still makes you you, and that's fine. And even if you haven't got, loads of after effects, you will be affected without realising. So actually, yeah, I found talking to other people, like, without even knowing it's happening, it's definitely helped. When you get ill, obviously you get ripped out of school for a month, maybe two, and you lose touch with other stuff, and I think it does become difficult to join in. You kind of get back into your local teams, and like I said earlier, you feel different. You've had to kind of debate the fact that you might die at the age of 12. Like, that's not something you should have to think about. And I think it does kind of pull you out of mainstream happy, clappy living, which you're so used to and should rightly so be. I think that support would give people the confidence to be like, actually, no, there's like 6 other people I met the other weekend and they're all getting involved in stuff. why can't I? I am no different. If you get through it, I feel like, yeah, got to do everything you can to make up for the people who didn't. So you've got a reason to kind of keep going. Some of the contacts I've made, basically through doing fundraising, some of the companies get involved in businesses and stuff. And I think it was a Meningitis Now got invited to a dinner for solicitors, and they had no one to go, so I turned up, and for a very nice free dinner, which was lovely. And I just made really good friends with one of the girls in there, Larry from Owen Mitchell. We've definitely developed a very close relationship. I helped her with some fundraising for Student Awareness Week in Bristol. I couldn't attend, but she managed to put in the footwork and hand out loads of symptoms cards to in October, so which was a really good time to get people aware of the ACWY vaccine. So she did really well on that. And it was just like any support I can provide for her, I give with contacts from various places. And she gives me the same support back by helping with fundraising. So yeah, I found that contact's been really helpful. So when I was like planning the cider circuit, they just gave me bags of free things, couldn't help enough. You don't even have to ask that much. So literally like, oh Larry, can I have this? You're like, done. So it's brilliant. It's really fantastic. And when we went up to House of Commons in November, I met a couple of other people from different law firms as well. You can tell they just want to know more and get interested, and we're a link to the charity. And Larry's mentioned before, you know, if there's a young person who comes to her through kind of the medical negligence angle, if she can give someone who's a volunteer at the charity who has a hugely unique view on it, for her that's really personable to her client. So I think she was definitely interested in getting to know the young ambassadors. So I really enjoy being that contact for her. And it's definitely develops your kind of ability to like just go to meetings and have casual chats with people in businesses. It's not that scary. But at first you think, oh my God, this is a big business. But actually it's fine. And some of the skills it's given me is definitely public speaking. As I can't thank it enough. I didn't realise it was such a help until you kind of join the working world. And you realise most people would hate to get up in front of people and talk to people. Whereas when you're doing it from 16 or whatever, you're used to getting up and talking about something you're passionate about. So it's not frightening to get up in a room full of people. And that's huge. You know, at 16 you'd rather be on your phone or putting weird colours in your hair. You know, like talking to people about something serious is not top of your list. So I definitely feel like it got me out of my shell. You can go into a room of kids and talk to them. You can go into a room of elderly people and talk to them. And I think that's a huge skill that you don't even think of until you meet people who aren't that confident, and you realise actually that's a massive benefit. And definitely you get to experience this double pronged, you know, Meningitis Now get volunteers and we get to do amazing stuff. Like I never thought I'd be able to say I spoke at the House of Commons. That is wicked for me anyway. I think it's cool. So yeah, I really enjoy that kind of just the experiences and the opportunities. It's win-win for everyone. So yeah.
Has volunteering and doing fundraising made any difference to you in the long term?
Yeah, I think it's given me purpose, I think, especially with, you know, if stuff isn't working out in other areas. I've got Meningitis Now, it's my thing. I feel like it gives me do you know what I mean? I got through it, I don't have any after effects. I have to do something with that. And so for me, it gives me a big drive to keep going, to volunteer. And whenever I'm like, oh God, you know, just want a bit of spare time to sit in front of the TV, it's like, well, there are people who will never get 5 minutes to sit in front of the TV ever again. And you do, so use that time wisely. So yeah, I feel very lucky, and definitely it gives me a big drive to do it, and just to help other people just have a bigger understanding of it. Because there is a huge misconception around meningitis, and what it includes and the strains and everything. And I think it's, you know, if you've got that knowledge, you've got to put it somewhere. So yeah, it makes me very driven in that respect, and very passionate about it, because I'm doing it for people who can't.